What's going on with the weather? Why is it so hot lately?
Because you turn me on every time I see you, gato.
I'm not that passionate about meteorology. Every year my family and I count the cabañuelas, which is basically when you predict the weather for the rest of the year based on the first 12 days of January. Today is the 4th, and it's cold outside. That means April is gonna be a cold month. We never get them right. This is something that I've been doing since I was a child, looking the forecast to see if it will ever get cold enough to snow in my city, not knowing ¿Cuándo va a nevar, mamá? That I had been born in a walkable hell. I remember when I first started making friends from different countries. I would ask them what the temperature was where they lived, just to see how much hotter it was where I lived. I feel this mania is normal when you are somebody who loves cold weather, but lives in a forever hot place. Like, I have more sweaters than any other garment. And even though I'm used to extreme temperatures, nowadays it feels like this is just way too much. Back in the 1600s, Peruvian fishermen had been noticing something odd was going on in their waters every few years. What were usually fish-rich waters were not so rich during these strange years. This phenomenon was called El Niño. But what is El Niño? Well, to understand El Niño, first we need to know what upwelling is. During normal conditions, trade winds carry warm water from the coast of South America along the equator until it reaches Asia. Now, the warm weather pushed by these winds gets replaced by cold weather that rises from the depths of the ocean. This cycle is called upwelling. In some years though, the trade winds weakened, and the warm water, instead of going east to west, goes eastward, reducing the upwelling of cold water in South America. This climate pattern is El Niño. There is also La Niña, but we ain't talking about her today. Sorry, little one. Now, you might be thinking, Gato, there is no way that this little man can be so dangerous. Look at him! Even his name means the little child. But you are wrong! The demise of some of the biggest empires in America in the 16th century, monsoon failures in South Asia in the late 18th century, the French Revolution in 1789, the perish of tens of millions of people in the 19th century, market in Peru in 1965, fires in Indonesia, epic droughts and mass migration in South Africa, coral die-offs in all major ocean basins, and mosquito-borne diseases in South America. All these have been a few teleconnections or impacts that reverberated around the globe once El Niño was declared. Of course! It's the third one of the day. This is another El Niño's teleconnection. Okay, so the big three get affected in this way. Canada gets to experience warmer winters because of this. Same goes for the northern third of the United States of America, where this one often plunges into months-long droughts. Meanwhile, the southwestern United States often deluge with rain and snow. The north of Mexico gets impacted by extreme droughts. Meanwhile, in the south, we get to experience heavy rains and floods. Now, whilst this might be true, the problem is these heavy rains make the warm weather feel even worse. Usually one would think these deluges will help cool the earth. Yes, but if it rains at night, the rain has usually stopped by the time the sun comes up, causing the heat to feel even more stifling due to increased humidity from the hydrologic cycle. And if it rains during the day, the combination of the already ongoing high temperatures and a sudden rise in humidity makes the environment feel oppressively hot. Either way, the result is sultry weather. But this year is gonna be different. This year we are going into uncharted territory. In around 100 years of research, studies have shown that during most El Niño events, sea surface temperatures rose 0.5 Celsius above normal, with a few exceptions. In order for an El Niño to appear, sea surface temperature have to equal or exceed, like I said, the 0.5 Celsius threshold for at least 5 consecutive overlapping 3-month period. But what happens if we go beyond that mark? Well, here is where El Niño classifications come into play. From 0.5 to 0.9 Celsius, an El Niño is considered weak. From 1 to 1.4 Celsius, it's a moderate El Niño. And from 1.5 to 1.9 Celsius, it's considered a strong El Niño. So, what happened in 1982, 1997, and 2015? Well, sea surface temperatures broke the 2.0 Celsius mark, which led to a very strong El Niño, or also called Super El Niño. So we know an El Niño is bad, and a Super El Niño is even worse. So, what can we do? How can we stop it? Well, George Freelander says, to ask why El Niño occurs is like asking why a bell rings or a pendulum swings. It is a natural mode of oscillation. A bell, of course, needs to be struck in order to ring. After nearly 100 years of investigation, scientists are still not sure what rings the bell. They just know that it rings. El Niño is a phenomenon that has been happening, I even dare to say, way before the last ice age. It's a natural event. This one is one of those rare instances where humanity, the big corpus, climate change, has nothing to do with it. However, the intensity of El Niño does get affected by climate change. Oh, you fucking pieces of shit! If I could, I demolish you all, especially you! I hope you fucking die soon. Global temperatures are already running over 1.4 Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and with a Super El Niño on top of that, it's gonna take the climate system somewhere it has not been in modern human history. So El Niño can't be stopped from happening, then at least it has to be something we can do to reduce its impact, right? Peru was one of the countries most severely affected during 1997 Super El Niño. To prevent history from repeating itself during future El Niño events, Peru, with aid of international humanitarian organizations, pioneered a climate adaptation strategy known as forecast-based financing, or FBF for short. Mathematical triggers, infrastructure preparation, agricultural pivots, and livestock protection, they created a plan that uses advanced meteorological modeling and, with the collected data and moving capital before the sky even darkens, they prevent economic and physical damage rather than merely compensating for it after the fact. This anticipatory model has been so influential that countries across Africa and Asia have adopted their own forecast-based adaptation strategies to deal with these extreme climate events. Hopefully here in Mexico we're doing the same, right Mexico? Oh. I wish I could wrap this up in a positive note, but the reality is that the fight against climate change is already lost. It doesn't matter if millions of people decide tomorrow to take action, to start taking care of the oceans, using alternative energy sources, planting trees and doing all those things, if the richest 1% of the world, in their pursuit of so-called progress, keep destroying everything in order to achieve it. Europe doesn't get directly affected by El Niño like America does, so my wet dream is to move there at some point. I'll worry about the teleconnections there later. Anything but this heat will be nice. For now, I'm Gato. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, stay hydrated, and thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. My good fingers. Okay, good.